Here we go.
All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this live event. I wanted in general to talk about stuff that we're all going through, and I try to find remedies and solutions for specific stuff that we may be experiencing. And also before the energy update and some update on like what is happening on the world energetically and our lives too. I wanted to share also my Patreon community. If you want to join us, we have different types of community activities each week. Yesterday we had a channeling session through which I bring through my guides during the live Zoom meeting, and you can ask them your questions during the live session. And also the audio book has been released like 2 weeks ago, if I'm correct. And it's free to listen to. It's on my YouTube channel, and check it out also. And also today we have Higher Vibrations with us to share her wisdom on what is happening and like how can we best navigate the things that are happening at this time in our world, even though if you're like very grounded or like balanced in your own life, but still we inhabit this environment where everyone is going through an upheaval and going through some difficult stuff, and to a certain extent we also feel it even if you try to detach yourself from it. So we're all together in this soup of consciousness.
Yes.
And like, yeah, like, can you share stuff on like what have you been sensing and like picking up as what are we going through as a collective right now?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, there's been a real increase in Ascension symptom experience. It's become more intense. So most of the things that people are having are very similar in some ways, but just more intense. The exhaustion, just really, really, really tired. And the stuff to do with inability to sleep on top of that. Not insomnia exactly, just like what I'm having is it'll be around 6 o'clock and I am just hardly able to keep my eyes open. I am so tired. And then finally, when it is time to go to sleep, I'm awake. I'm just awake. I'm not like, like worried about anything or nothing's keeping me up. It's simply just, I'm awake until like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I also feel like not necessarily agitated in a bad way, but like I like have to do stuff and my mind is racing about all different possibilities and realities, and it's like difficult to relax in that state.
Yeah.
And I just have to wait for the time when I get really tired and just sleep after all those agitated parts, basically.
Yeah.
And also like keeping up with reality, or at least this physical reality. We just talked about it a few moments ago that I created the announcement for this live event like 8 hours ago, and I just realized it 10 minutes ago that I forgot to share it. So anyone who has joined us, thank you for being here. You're awesome. And and just a moment ago, I wanted to share the meeting so it's live, and instead of sharing it on YouTube, I closed the session. So
yeah.
I'm having difficulties today keeping up with stuff.
As everyone is. And time stuff is just becoming so, anything to do with time and trying to be in the structure of time, the calendar is just, it's very difficult. It's strangely difficult. And so I just find it like overwhelming. And not overwhelming exactly. I feel like I'm always apologizing. Sorry, I'm late. And I used to be this big punctual, right on time kind of person. And now it's just like, what day is it?
That's why I use as much as I can my calendars and notifications on my phone, so it can remind me of like what is happening and what I should be doing.
Right. Without my phone, things wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. This is kind of a segue I'm going to take for, one of the things that I need to keep a calendar for is that I do these Zoom meetings twice a week. And the next one's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just so everybody knows it's free. It's just a bunch of us just having a chat like this. But because of those, I love that that's there. It's making me need to keep more like calendars on my phone. My phone is always telling me what to do. Like if I didn't put alerts in there, I just wouldn't do any of those things.
Yeah, it's like keeping you tapped into or like connected to the physical reality and the flow of time here in the third dimension. Mm-hmm. And also, I forgot to mention, if you want to join the free Zoom meeting with higher vibrations, you can do it through the link. The link to her channel is in the title of this video. So if you want to join also her YouTube channel, she has awesome stuff about energy updates and ascension symptoms and like how to navigate this whole transformation. So subscribe to her channel. You can find the link to her channel in the title of this video. It's live at this moment. Check it out.
Thank you.
And back to our scheduled program.
Yes. and then you'll find the link in the community section. I'm not sure if you said that. I was reading the comments. Oh. So yeah, I always put the link up in the community section every the day before. I haven't put the one up for tomorrow yet, but I will do that immediately after this meeting's over. And you know, having those experiences, those not being able to be grounded experiences can lead to this guilt sensation, which is kind of what I want to talk about too, is if you don't mind me, it's that, you know, God is this most perfect, purest love. And then on the opposite of that is fear. Very near to fear is guilt and shame and those types of low self-worth type experiences. And so the more we can eliminate those types of experiences or reasons to knee-jerk reaction to that, the better and the easier these ascension symptoms are. You know, like what is happening to us is we are physically ascending in the same physical form that we're in now, ascending to a higher vibrational, higher frequency state. And I've tuned into this and tapped into this a bunch of times, and the answers always come back as this has never happened before. Never where an organism, a body, a person, a lot in that lifetime ascend. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like maybe back in our history, it took like generations or like hundreds or thousands of years, and we're like doing a ton of work and transformation just in a matter of lifetime, I think.
Yes, exactly. And as that's happening, we're getting a lot of just, it's like turbulence or it's growing pains because we're growing, right? And so as we evolve in this single body, things are rapidly changing about us. And while those things are happening, we're having symptoms. You know, it's not always a physical thing. The other really cool one a lot of people are having. So we've been vibrating here, right? And then there's stuff that's vibrating up here. Until we are also vibrating at least near to it, we can't perceive those things. And now as we're raising our vibration up to a close enough space that we're starting to be able to perceive them, a lot of people are seeing things. And that's the most alarming experience people are seeming to have right now, is that like light orbs is one of the most common ones, but you also see like a silhouette of a light body. Like it looks almost like a white faded aura around a being, but you just don't see the person inside yet. Or disembodied hands or arms. And don't be freaked out about that. That's your energies helping you. You're these light team on your side here to help you. And there's a lot of realignment that's occurring in our bodies. And so these energies who've always been here before, you've always been there and you never got hurt before. You've always been good.
Like,
now you're starting to be able
you forget to mention the shadows or like the silhouettes that are like appearing at just the corner of your field of view.
Right.
When you're like, look, they're just moves beyond.
Yeah.
Like those are very weird. I get those very often.
Yeah. And that's the game too, is trying to not be alarmed. Because when there's an alarm or a startlement, I've noticed for me, it's like you can see like the dial of your vibration, and I'll drop my vibration just a little bit in startlement, and then they're gone. It's like, oh, so it's like trying to trick yourself to not be in. Yeah.
Yeah, like the interesting stuff about that. Like I'm going to share my take on it. Like for sometimes I like see like echoes of people or someone like being at a specific place, like not necessarily being there physically, but I'm not sure if it's something that already happened, like a memory of that place, like something that has occurred already there, or maybe I'm perceiving something on another plane, or something that is going to occur. Or like, I can't really tell the difference, to be honest. I just like get these impressions of echoes of something else that has already happened or maybe is happening on the plane. I'm not sure yet.
Right.
That's usually what I'm getting.
And that's a lot of what there's the other energies that we're noticing too, that I just kind of want to point out that are this archangels. People are starting to actually go, they really look like this or whatever, and it's really kind of fun. And just other beings are presenting themselves in this space right now. And so that is just one of the ones that scares people the most, the visual representation of these energies.
Yeah, like I think many of us have been like used to this notion that you're all alone, and now you realize that you have so many things happening around you. And that's what I've observed with many people, that they like freak out from the fact that, hey, like your guides are always with you and they always see you, regardless where you are or what you do. And people are like, oh my God, like, have they seen everything?
Yeah. In the bathroom too. That's what I always hear. Yeah. And they've been there this whole time. That's the main point of the main thing that comforted me when I realized that was like, they've already been here this whole time. The only difference is now I'm able to understand their energies are present, and they're here to assist us. There's a lot of density moving through too, so we're getting a lot of like vibrational kind of experiences in our larger muscle groups, as well as like, remember that twitching thing, Guardian? We were talking about it when it was happening, the eye thing, and it went on for a million years, like and then it moved down
with muscles in my arm. It was very weird.
Yeah. And that's moving around now. That's moving around, and these larger muscle groups, people are having full-on Charlie horses, and their Charlie horses is a very unpleasant experience. And what's happening is it's a shaking out. It's a shaking out of these densities. And now I get to see what it looks like. I always thought we were like, we were pushing it out of us, but instead what we're doing is we're pulling away from it, because this stuff, it's not bad. It's simply that it's vibrating at a lower density than we are moving into. And so it's like having like a sticky something that's just been there too long, and it's like peeling off. And the sensation that I get from it, it's like watching a large tree slowly pull roots up out, and so it can take a step, and so that's kind of what's going on for a lot of people. And that the muscle spasm thing is that another one people continuously bring up as something that's alarming, because it's unpleasant, and it happens when you're sleeping most of the time. People will wake up with their legs all full on Charlie horse, and it's just like,
oh, like you can't really control it or stop it.
Yeah,
it's pretty weird.
Yeah. One thing that does help though is that understanding where it's coming from. Your body, just like Dolores Cannon's been teaching us for all this time and stuff like that, your body, the area of your body is telling you that's part of the emotional clearing that needs to occur. We're our own best therapists in this stuff. And what all that it has to do with, like, it's not about gaining identity, absorbing things about our past or whatever. It's simply acknowledging that they existed. Once we acknowledge those things, and you were, and I'm not going to judge you at all. Now I'm going to release you with love and send it out with love. It's unimprisoning it. It's freeing it from this prison. This energy wants to move away from us just as much as we do. They're in a different place. And so that does assist a lot. If we can figure out, you can Google it or do any kind of search engine. I just, whatever the body part is, lots of times it's an organ, and emotional connection to emotional I can't, word it the way you think is correct, but like, what's the symbol of this body part emotionally? And it'll like pop up. So the liver will be this, and the spleen will be this. And the area that you're noticing that trauma in, it'll tell you, okay, there is issues from a past life, from this life, from whatever that I haven't healed through. And, allow yourself to open up to that. And this is the strangest thing of all. We've been taught, we have learned that when something hurts, you pull away from it. That's just, why wouldn't you?
You get a painkiller for it.
Right. And with this stuff, when you lean into it, it makes it go away. Like once you lean into it, not accepting it, like I said, not identity assumption or assuming the identity of it. It's simply just opening up to the experience, and it's had that fast. And then the experience is over. Now your cup is empty and you can try something different. Just like a child at play, they fall down, they cry with their whole heart, and then they're good. Now they're moving on to their next emotion. People like me been spending decades not crying, you know what I mean, over that, whatever it was. And so that's and the most common one is back right now, because a lot of people have betrayal stuff. Just so that's something to put out there
I have
too.
That too.
Right. Like past life.
I'm not sure. I haven't really explored it that deeply.
Right.
I went to a massage therapist and it helped a lot with it.
Well, that's good. That helps.
I had some stagnating energies in specific spots, and he like pushed it out on their little corners and little nests that they have created in specific spots in my body. It was not very pleasant, but it was very good afterwards. And I like try to keep things in check now, so I don't end up in that state again, so it doesn't build up again. Yeah, like that's why I know, like going to a therapist or a healer is very helpful to like work through a big bunch of stuff all at once, and after that you can like focus on maintaining a healthy balance in your life so it doesn't accumulate again. Yeah, like I think you also mentioned this whole stuff that where like things build up in us, and like the only way to release it is to acknowledge it. And sadly, we're like conditioned and built in a way to like avoid these unpleasant stuff, so we hide from it. And if we don't release it, just like kids do, like if they don't like something, they like fully experience it and like give out all their emotions and like live with very much fully, and then move on. Like all that stuff builds up, and it builds up in your body too. So that's why stuff accumulate in certain spots of our body, and they can like evolve into illness or some kind of deformity or problems later on. So look at what your body's telling you too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and one of the most common experiences that the vast majority of starseeds, light workers, people that are on our experience have is at some point in the, like for instance, the witch trials. There's this persecution period of experience on this planet that has a lot to do with betrayal. Someone told on me, I'm, or whatever, like that kind of experience. I think that's why the back is becoming such a theme right now, and also other hip, a lot of people have talked about hip stuff, and we're talking about young people. Right. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have it too.
Yeah.
I try to like remedy it with yoga and different types of movements to like release that tension from there. Like I found during the warm period that it really helped to go outside bare feet and to ground as much as I can. Like that completely like neutralize that energy. But since now it's very cold, and I know that many people who are listening live in a colder climate right now, like winter is coming, and we don't really have access to all that much warm soil to enjoy.
Yeah, bringing dirt in the house.
Yeah, like recommended you bringing in some dirt or good compost into your house.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that out. But do you have to like renew that maybe it's like the way I understand it is like this whole system works as the lightning rod, maybe. Like all that tension is like coming in, and what does the earthing do? It's basically like conducting all the excess energy down into the soil, and where it's being like neutralized.
Yeah.
And maybe is there a limitation on like how much negative and like built up energy can that bunch of soil take up before like it becomes non-beneficial to you, basically, or it can like neutralize up into infinity?
I've not found it to expire in the time that I use it. Like, just like you, I bring it into the house like about this time of year, you know, everything's frosting over and getting solid, and then soon is going to be completely blanketed with snow. And then I'll keep it in the house until spring. And I'll use it throughout the winter. And I have not noticed, I don't bring it overly, like the bucket is probably about that big, and it's just because of we use it so much. And it just seems like a good idea to have something that's, and you don't need to dig your feet into it or anything like that, you know. Well, my daughter likes to have it sprinkled on the cookie sheet, and she'll just just walk on that. And you know, like I've not noticed it expire, you know, it still works just as well. And then by the spring, you know, I'm bringing it back outside again, and we're doing gardening and stuff. So
yeah, like put it back so it can be like recycled and recharged.
Yeah, exactly. And
In my case, I
also
will have to get a really big bucket too. Like, do do you put your hands too? Like that has a similar effect.
Yeah, the difference is time. So if you're using your feet, it's only about 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes every other day you can do too. And then with your hands, it's about 10 minutes. So it just takes twice as long. The pores on your hands are quite a lot smaller than your feet, but honestly, it's more fun to play with it with your hands anyway, you know. And
yeah, like that's why gardening is very beneficial too.
Yeah.
And I think like this whole earthing stuff also has to do a lot with that, basically in our palms and basically in our feet, like you have nerve endings to all your vital parts in your body. So basically your feet are connected to everything important in your body too. That's why how do you call it? Some kind of reflex therapy or whatever.
It's called
when you like
reflexology. Already
yeah, like when you stimulate different parts of your palm or your feet to, I don't know, like achieve some kind of benefits or change in your body. And I think like that's where earthing comes in too, is that you're like plugging into Mother Earth and like receiving all the benefits from her energy. I think that's how we're built originally. We just kind of like, how do you call it? We like insulate, or how do you call that? We like separate ourselves from that connection through wearing plastic on our feet, basically. I think plastic blocks that flow. I will have to get some leather sandals or something next year.
Yeah, the closer to the ground that you can walk, the better. You know, it's just a tool. Everything is provided for us that we need, you know, and it's always in just right in front of us, and we just don't. We've been conditioned throughout this and likely other lifetimes to not utilize those things, and to dissuade us from being empowered. And we're all coming back online again. We're starting to do these things again, you know. And there was something that Carmen mentioned earlier that I would like to bring up. He mentioned how, well, hello everybody, by the way. Hello, I've seen all of my friends, a lot of my friends are here. There's this thing about this anger and this burst of irritations that are showing up for people right now. And it's happened for me on and off. Mine doesn't tend to be anger anymore. It's irritation. And it's just
like
bursts.
Being frustrated with like little stuff during the day.
Yeah. And it just feels like it just comes out of nowhere and hits you upside the head. It's like, and then you're good. And I'm noticing that it's stuff that needs to move through as it's coming out. And when it's moving through, if there's something to compare it to, something similar inside you that you haven't dealt with, it'll help bring that up for you. It's not meant to be an attack or something to cause disharmony for you. It's like, hey, look, here's the thing, and right now is a perfect time to heal it. And
Yeah, like just with the body, if like you're in pain somewhere, it's like showing you that something is out of alignment and you should look at it.
mhm,
And all these like anger bursts and like anger issues is kind of the same. Like if everything would be like harmonic and like perfect inside of you, then you wouldn't be having those stuff.
yeah,
So when it's like coming up, it's showing to you that there is something that you should look at, so you can like release it. And sometimes it can be very difficult to find the root of it, but like going within and like doing some reflection, being alone can really help with it to go to the root of the problem.
yeah,
It can be very multi-layered in many cases, in my
right,
experience.
for sure. It's very much it's like shadow work. It's there's that it is shadow work, really. Technically, we're going through a dark night of the soul of the body, and um the dark night of the soul is a term that was coined a couple hundred years ago. It's not a dark
That
thing.
old?
It's
Uh-huh.
huh?
I didn't know it was that old. I thought it was something
Yeah,
newer that came with the
no,
new age teachings.
it's a so I think it was Freud. I'm probably wrong. I always mix up the fathers of psychologies, uh, the names of them. But um, it the definition is the parts of us that we prune off due to lack of praise or reprimand. So, like as a kid, there's a parent. Let's assume this happens a lot. This is a really common story. There's a parent that doesn't like that the child cries and will say things against that child crying, maybe even call them names to make them feel ashamed of it. And that child will then try to prune that specific part of them, of who they truly are, off. And there's just pruning like that occurs throughout the life. And so the shadow self is what they call it, what he coined it to be, is this you that's hidden. It's this alternate reality version of you. It's like not a complete you, and it's full of all of the shame and and so you don't want to connect with it. And a lot of us will look at those things as negative things and things that are undesirable, so we don't want to behave in that way or whatever. And it creates a monster, an emotional, energetic thing. And a lot of the what's the name? A lot of the poltergeist experiences come from this experience. A poltergeist is not a haunting, it's an energy that's shot out and sent out and embodied by, most often, children, preteens and stuff like that, but you can be any age, that have so much that they've tried to not be, that it's turned into its own being for a time. And
Wow, that's freaky.
yeah, it is. And it's a real phenomenon. And all that needs to happen is to acknowledge those things about ourselves that we'd been hiding, hiding from too. And so the dark night of the soul is really the light being shown on the soul. I would say the most correct definition of that, or wording for that, is because now we get to put a light in this space that we had put into shadows for so long, and look at it. And when you look at it, it turns out it's not even
Yeah,
bad stuff.
not that
It's
scary. Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah. Like the ability to cry, that was one of mine. And like
yeah.
the
Jacaranda
the
Marie just has mentioned the crying part too.
yeah, and it's been such a big thing right now, like the amount of release and healing, and not just for a personal thing, but a collective energy release. Crying and joy, I do that a lot too, and then just weird bouts of laughter that are awesome, but they also make you cry. Those releasings are happening, and that's one of the things that most of us have shut off. And so it's time to when you're ready to take that back into your experience. And that crying in itself will help through a lot of these ascension symptoms too.
Yeah, it can be very transformational too, if you
Yes.
allow yourself to feel it to the fullest and let it go. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
don't have to do it in front of other people. Like do it on your own, like isolate it however you feel safe, and just like reuse it and reap the benefits of it. Like it's very, very helpful, especially early on during your awakening process.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not sure I want, yeah, like regarding you were mentioning the whole part of stuff hiding in our subconscious and taking the life on their own. And yeah, like I think all of us know that we're like moving to another phase of our evolution. And in order to like move to that next phase, there are certain things that we cannot take with us, things that were like of a lower vibration. Some of it like still lingers in us because like we're gradually, slowly moving upwards. And like bit by bit, day by day, we're like letting go more and more of the old stuff. But it was very like typical of the old, how we were before. But in order to move forward efficiently and like without friction, we have to be like very attentive of like what is coming up to be processed, so we can like let it go phase by phase and bit by bit, so we can like elevate ourselves and like move forward with more ease. And yeah, just as we were saying that they come up to be released, like it's not there to traumatize you or to hurt you or anything. It's just time to let it go.
Yeah.
And if you like fully commit to it, and it can happen very quickly right now. Like we're in a phase now that I think like energetically we're like very much helped with this whole cleansing process. So if you really commit to the process of healing yourself and working on yourself, you can do a lot very quickly if you really commit to it.
Yeah. And also bringing in the assistance of like the archangels and your guides and your higher self and stuff, I've found, I don't know if it accelerates it because of their presence, or their presence
I
makes
think it does.
you know what I mean?
Or it makes it easier, I think. Like they
Right.
can like I know, like make it flow more easily, or like weed out the friction and like the unnecessary distractions or energies that may like prolong that whole transformation or make it more difficult. Like you still have to work through it. Like you can skip it, or there's no cheating or going around things. But I think they really can make it more easier. So ask the help of your guides or archangels, whoever you work with. Like it's really good. Like whenever something comes up, I usually like make this intent that, okay, I'm very much aware that there is something that I will have to work through, but please help me to go through it as quickly as possible so I can get it clearly, and to move through this whole phase as quickly and effortlessly as possible.
Yeah.
And it usually does really help. Like it doesn't have to be difficult.
And they want to help. The thing that always hung me up, Guardian, was that I didn't understand the omnipresence element as thoroughly as I do now. And omnipresent is being able to be everywhere at the same time. And that's what these guys are able to do. Guys and girls.
All of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying any gender, but it's just, that's the term I say guys, and it's just a bunch of girls. Hey guys, and that's just, I don't know, I grew up that way, weird language. But the thing is, I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, like this whole omnipresence thing. I don't think all of our guides are omnipresent. Like some of them are not that high vibration, in my opinion.
I was talking about the archangels in particular, but yeah, some of the
like
guides
they're very omnipresent. Yeah. But maybe like ETs, or like an ascended master, or maybe like a deceased relative, or someone who was close to, are not omnipresent, in my opinion.
And some are. So there have been some. I used to be a deliverer of messages for people who had passed on, and it's weird because there's been times where I was meant to call somebody, and the energy I was talking to was in front of me and also in front of them. And so, I don't know. It depends on the energy. I wanted to bring that up specifically to say, for those of you who are like me, and that, oh, I don't want to take away the energy of the archangels when someone else could be needing them right now. And so I wouldn't do it. I'm like, oh, but what if I'm taking away from somebody who needs them more? I'm just me, that kind of stuff. Nope, that doesn't count because they can be
that's
everywhere and
silly
they want to help
nonsense.
you.
Yeah,
What was that?
yeah, like that's silly stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, like they're omnipresent, like they can be everywhere at all times. So it's you don't take away from anything by that.
yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly.
they're there to provide you with that service. That's their job or purpose in existence, basically.
Yeah. And they want to, they really want to. They get, it's almost like they're just like, come on, come on, come on, come on, please ask, because they, you have to ask. We're living the law of free will, and consent is assumed. I mean, consent is given when you ask, and so, yeah, please, I consent for you to come in and do this thing. That there's still energy work that happens, whether you, but I think that there's really a permission already given by your higher self, which is another point too, is when we send energy to people, when we pray for others, it's the same, it's a very similar concept. We don't always ask that person, hey, is that okay? But we do ask. We just don't realize we're doing it. We're asking that person's higher self. I've had it where uh, blessings have been sent back, and only because the higher self's answer was really cool. I was like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. This person needs to heal through this themselves. They need to figure out how to do it. Thank you. But what happened was really cool, is that the amount of healing and love energy I'd sent out, it was like ballooned back on me. It was really a cool experience. So
Yeah, like what
anyway,
you put out is what you get back.
yeah,
So be careful what you send out.
exactly.
If you send out negative stuff and like, I don't know, if you're angry at someone or you're harboring hurt and all those stuff towards someone, then that's what's going to be amplified and reflected to you back. And it's
Right.
like, it doesn't help anyone to like, I don't know, how do you call that? Like to hold a grudge against someone and
Yep.
like be mean to someone, like that is not going to help them, and it's absolutely not helping you either. Like
Right.
it's poisoning you too as well. It's
Yep.
just poisoning your life basically.
There's a quote that I've heard throughout the years that doing something like that is like eating poison, hoping someone else gets sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also in Buddhism there is like harboring anger towards someone is like holding, how do you call it, cauldron, or how do you call the old stuff that you can cook in? I'm not
A
sure how
pot.
it's called. A
Pot.
pot. It's like a very hot pot with some nasty liquid in it that is like boiling, holding it in your hands, wanting
uh,
to like pour it on someone else, but in the end you're going to be the only one who's going to be burned by it.
right. Right. That's a good example. There's and it's, this stuff's coming up for us to release it, all of this. That's why we're having the symptoms in the order that we are. Like a couple other things were mentioned too. Other types of joints were mentioned, as well as the stomach. And I the joints are just places that things are getting caught. Right now it's the hips. I'm noticing for me, I've tuned into that, and the hip problem isn't happening anymore. It came through, and when I understood it, then I could heal through it. And for me, it had to do with previous experience, not in this lifetime, regarding motherhood. I don't know why it was on the hips, but it worked. That's where what energy was being stored there. And once that was released, that issue healed. The stomach stuff, the solar plexus stomach area, I saw a few people mention that. A lot of people are having that experience. Manifestation, remember we talked about this before. I'm sure the manifestation is coming on in an amplified way for everyone. We were already manifesting and creating our reality, right?
Yeah, it was
But
just
now it's,
slower.
yeah. And now it's like being turned online. And so much that the messages I've been sharing about it isn't so much that you can manifest now, it's just to watch what you're manifesting. Because a lot of us will do I hope this doesn't happen over and over and over and over again before something is to occur. And then, oh, well, at least I prepared for the worst. No, you made the worst happen. And that's me
Yeah.
too. I've done that too. No judgment, and so to be aware of that. And as a result, we're having a lot of pregnancy-like symptoms in the solar plexus area. Um, the sacral chakra, that whole gut space. And so just to be aware of that, you know, and like man, woman, doesn't matter, pregnancy symptoms. It's been amazing to hear all these reports, you know,
Okay,
like
I'm not sure how that is like. I haven't felt it.
feeling the fluttering in your stomach, like there's a child in there, having the really crazy weird mood swings, crazy cravings, just noticing if feeling like you have a Buddha belly or a swollen abdomen. Just a lot of times it has to do with just like water, or just you're bloated in some way. But
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Like I sometimes it like comes and goes, this whole feeling of being bloated, regardless of what I eat. I'm
yeah,
not sure what is causing it, but I guess it's something like this, maybe. Like it's
yep,
very strange. It comes out of nowhere and it goes away.
yep. And it's cyclical. I've noticed it happening about every month for about a week or so. People will, so everybody has their own cycle too, you know, but then it seems like it's has to do with the moon cycle, you know what I mean? But it's not. It's this stuff's just coming online. So for those of you having that experience, know that you're okay. And what helps with it is any grounding technique you have available for you. You know, grounding and meditation. We talked about going outside. If you can't go outside, bringing dirt inside. Eating is another grounding element, but done in excess, it can be very disruptive for you too. But root vegetables in particular, like things that were like in the ground, that's very grounding. Like even not even eating them, I've noticed just having a bag of potatoes nearby, I'm like, I feel grounded.
I
But
just ate some potatoes too.
awesome. It's a very grounding food. And for a lot of people, we're going into